The alien ship landed quietly in the thick Vietnamese jungle. Commander 7 stepped out first. His 4 eyes looked at the green trees and wet air. He had traveled across many galaxies. He had seen many worlds, but Earth was different. Earth was special. His crew followed him. There were 6 of them. They came from the Empire. They had been watching Earth for 50 years. They wanted to understand humans. They wanted to know why humans were so strange. "Commander, our sensors show something interesting," said Lieutenant Myra. She pointed at her device. "There is metal nearby, old metal, very old." 7 nodded. "Show me the way." They walked through the jungle. The trees were tall. The air was hot and heavy. Insects made loud sounds. This place felt wild and dangerous. But the aliens were not afraid. They had technology that protected them. After walking for 2 hours, they found it. It was a machine, a flying machine. The aliens had studied human history. They knew what this was. It was called a helicopter. But this one was different. It was broken. It was covered in vines and leaves. Trees had grown around it. It had been here for many, many years. "This is from their war," said Myra. "The Vietnam War. Humans fought here long ago." 7 walked closer. He touched the rusty metal. Paint was falling off. The glass was broken. Birds had made nests inside. The jungle had eaten this machine. It was dead. "How long has it been here?" asked 7. Myra checked her device. "More than 50 Earth years, maybe 60. The commander was surprised. 60 years was a long time. On his planet, metal would turn to dust in that time, but this machine was still here. Broken, yes, but still here. "The humans left it here," he said. "After their war ended, they left their machines behind." "Why would they do that?" asked another crew member named Tox. "Why leave such valuable things?" 7 did not answer. He did not understand humans. Nobody in the galaxy understood humans. They were the strangest species anyone had ever found. Humans were not the strongest. They were not the fastest. They did not have claws or wings or thick skin. They could not breathe in water. They could not survive in cold space. By all normal rules, humans should have died long ago. But they did not die. They grew, they spread, they built things, amazing things. The Empire had been watching Earth since humans first went to space. That was the moment when the galaxy noticed them. A species that could not even fly on its own had built machines to fly among the stars. "Commander, there is something else," said Myra. Her voice was excited. "There are humans coming. My sensors show 3 of them. They are walking toward this location." 7 raised his hand. "Everyone hide. Now we will watch." The aliens used their technology to become invisible. They stood quietly among the trees. They waited. Soon the humans arrived. There were 3 men. They looked old. Their hair was gray. Their faces had many lines. They walked slowly but with purpose. They carried bags and tools. One of the men stopped when he saw the helicopter. He stood very still. His eyes became wet with water, tears. Humans made tears when they felt strong emotions. "There she is," the man said. His voice was soft. "After all these years, there she is." The second man put his hand on the first man's shoulder. "I told you we would find her, Tom. I told you." The third man was already walking toward the helicopter. He looked at the damage. He touched the rusty metal just like 7 had done moments before. "It is bad," he said. "Very bad. The jungle has taken her." Tom, the first man, walked closer. He put both hands on the helicopter. He closed his eyes. "I flew this bird," he said. 52 years ago. I was young then. I was a soldier. This helicopter saved my life. She saved many lives." 7 listened carefully. His translator device helped him understand their words, but he did not understand their feelings. Why did this old human care so much about broken metal? "We will rebuild her," said Tom. "We will make her fly again." The second man laughed, but it was not a happy laugh. "Tom, look at it. It is more rust than metal. The engine is gone. The blades are broken. everything is destroyed. "I do not care," said Tom. "I made a promise. I told this helicopter that I would come back for her. I told her I would not leave her in this jungle forever." The third man shook his head. "Tom, that was 50 years ago. You were dying. You were injured. The rescue team had to leave the helicopter to save you. You cannot blame yourself." "I do not blame myself," said Tom. "I just want to keep my promise." Seven watched this human called Tom. He saw something in his eyes. It was not sadness. It was not anger. It was something stronger. It was determination. The commander had seen many species across the galaxy. He had seen species with great strength. He had seen species with great intelligence, but he had never seen a species with such determination. This old human with gray hair and weak body wanted to rebuild a machine that had been dead for 50 years. It was impossible. Everyone knew it was impossible, but Tom did not care about impossible. Seven made a decision. He would stay. He would watch. He wanted to see what this human would do. He wanted to understand why humans never gave up. "We will make camp nearby," he told his crew through their silent communication devices. "We will observe these humans. We will record everything." The aliens settled into the jungle. They became invisible watchers. They did not know it yet, but they were about to see something amazing. They were about to learn why the galaxy feared and respected humans. The story of the jungle helicopter was just beginning. 3 weeks passed. Commander Seven and his crew watched from the shadows. They recorded everything. They sent reports back to the Empire, but mostly they watched in silence, and they were amazed. Tom had not returned alone. He had brought an army, not an army of soldiers, an army of builders. There were engineers, there were mechanics, there were welders, there were electricians. There were young people and old people. Some came from America, some came from Vietnam, some came from other countries. They all came for one reason. They wanted to help Tom rebuild his helicopter. "This makes no sense," said Lieutenant Myra. She was frustrated. "Our calculations show that this project is impossible. The helicopter is too damaged. The parts are too old. The cost is too high. Why are they trying?" Seven watched Tom talking to his team. The old man was smiling. He was pointing at different parts of the helicopter. He was explaining things. His team was listening carefully. "I do not know," said Seven, "but I want to find out." The work began on the first day. The humans cleared the jungle around the helicopter. They cut down trees and pulled up vines. They built a large tent over the machine to protect it from rain. Then they started to take the helicopter apart, piece by piece, bolt by bolt. They removed everything that was broken. They cleaned everything that was dirty. They numbered each part and put them in boxes. "They are very organized," said Tox. He sounded surprised. "I thought humans were chaotic creatures." "When they want something," said Seven, "they become very focused." Days turned into weeks. The aliens watched as the humans worked from morning to night. They worked in the hot sun. They worked in the heavy rain. They worked when insects bit them. They worked when they were tired. They never stopped. One night, Seven moved closer to listen to the humans talking around their fire. Tom was sitting with a young Vietnamese man. The young man's name was. He was a mechanic from Ho Chi City. "Why are you helping me?" Tom asked. "This war was bad for your country. This helicopter brought soldiers who hurt your people. Why would you help rebuild it?" Was quiet for a moment, then he spoke. "My grandfather was a soldier too," he said. "He fought on the other side. He fought against Americans. But he always said something I never forgot. He said that war is between governments. It is not between people. People are just trying to survive." Tom nodded slowly. "Your helicopter did not choose to fight," continued. "It was just a machine, but machines can have new purposes. When we rebuild this helicopter, it will not be a weapon of war. It will be a symbol of peace. It will show that old enemies can become new friends." Seven felt something strange in his chest. The translator called it emotion. He was feeling emotion for these humans. He did not expect that. The next morning there was a problem. The humans had found something terrible. The helicopter's main engine was completely destroyed. Rust had eaten through everything. There was nothing left to save. Tom looked at the ruined engine. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. Without an engine, the helicopter could never fly. The whole project would fail. "We can find a new engine," said one of the engineers. "There are other helicopters from that war. Some are in museums, some are in private collections." "Those engines are also 50 years old," said another engineer. "They might not work either." The team argued for hours. Some wanted to quit, some wanted to continue. The mood was dark and sad. Then something unexpected happened. An old Vietnamese woman walked into the camp. She was very small and very old. She walked with a cane. 2 young men helped her. Everyone stopped talking. They looked at the old woman. "Who are you?" Tom asked. The woman smiled. Her face was full of wrinkles, but her eyes were bright and sharp. "My name is," she said. "I was a young girl during the war. I lived in a village near here. One day an American helicopter crashed near my village. The pilot was hurt. My family helped him. We hid him from the soldiers. We saved his life." Tom's eyes went wide. "What happened to the helicopter?" Smile grew bigger. "My father was a smart man. He knew the war would end someday. He knew that machines were valuable. So he took the engine from the helicopter. He hid it in a cave. He covered it with oil to protect it from rust." She pointed her cane toward the mountains. "The engine is still there," she said. "I have protected it for 50 years. I was waiting for the right person to give it to." The whole camp was silent. Nobody could believe what they were hearing. "Why?" Tom asked. His voice was breaking. "Why would you keep it for so long?" Walked closer to Tom. She looked up at his face. "Because the pilot who crashed was kind to me," she said. "He gave me chocolate. He taught me some English words. He promised that one day he would come back and thank my family. He never came back. I think he died in the war, but I kept the engine. I kept the promise for him." Seven watched from his hiding place. He was recording everything, but his hands were shaking. He had never seen anything like this. 2 people from opposite sides of a war, keeping promises for 50 years. 2 engines, one hidden by an American soldier, one hidden by a Vietnamese girl, now coming together to rebuild a machine of peace. "Humans are impossible to understand," Myra said quietly. "Yes," Seven agreed, "but that is what makes them beautiful." The next day, the team followed to the cave. They found the engine wrapped in old cloth and covered in oil. It was in perfect condition. Tom fell to his knees and cried. The others cried too. Even some of the tough engineers wiped their eyes. The project was alive again. The helicopter would fly. Seven sent a message to the Empire. "The humans continue to surprise us. They keep promises that span generations. They turn enemies into friends. They refuse to accept defeat. We must continue to watch. We must learn more." The real work was about to begin. 6 months had passed since the discovery of the hidden engine. Commander Seven and his crew remained hidden in the jungle. They watched. They learned. And every day they grew more amazed. The helicopter was slowly coming back to life. The humans had built a real workshop in the jungle. They had generators for power. They had computers for design. They had machines for cutting and welding metal. It was like a small factory in the middle of nowhere. But building the workshop was the easy part. Rebuilding the helicopter was the hard part. Every single piece of the helicopter needed attention. The body was full of holes from rust and bullet damage. The tail was bent. The landing legs were broken. The control systems were completely gone. The rotor blades had rotted away. "They need to replace almost everything," Myra said. She was looking at her calculations. "By our standards, they should just build a new helicopter. It would be faster and cheaper. But they will not do that, Seven said. No, Myra agreed, they will not. Tom wanted to save the original helicopter. He did not want a copy. He wanted the same machine that had flown in the war. He wanted to honor its history. So the team worked slowly and carefully. They found original parts from all over the world. They searched old military bases. They searched museums. They searched private collections. They searched junk yards. Whenever they could not find an original part, they built a new one by hand. The work was difficult. There were many problems. One day, the team was trying to attach the new rotor blades. The blades were heavy and dangerous. One wrong move could hurt someone badly. The team worked for hours, but they could not get the blades to fit properly. Tom was getting frustrated. His team was tired. The sun was going down. Everyone wanted to give up for the day. Then a young woman spoke up. Her name was Sarah. She was an engineer from California. Wait, she said. I think I see the problem. The mounting bracket is slightly bent. Not much. Maybe 2 millimeters, but it is enough to cause trouble. She walked over to the bracket. She studied it carefully. Then she took a small hammer and tapped it gently, just 3 taps, nothing more. Try again, she said. The team tried again. This time the rotor blade fit perfectly. Everyone cheered. Tom hugged Sarah. The impossible had become possible because of 2 millimeters. Seven recorded this moment. He made a note in his report. Humans solve problems through small observations. They do not give up when things are difficult. They look closer. They think harder. They find solutions that nobody else can see. The Empire was very interested in these reports. Other alien species had been watching Earth too. They all wanted to understand humans. They all wanted to know the secret of human success. Seven believed he was beginning to understand. Humans were not special because of their bodies. They were not special because of their technology. They were special because of their minds. They had the ability to imagine things that did not exist, and they had the determination to make those things real. Months passed. The helicopter continued to take shape. The body was repaired. New metal covered the old holes. Fresh paint made it shine. The tail was straightened. New glass was put in the windows. The cockpit was rebuilt with new seats and new controls. The engine from cave was cleaned and tested. It worked perfectly. The old woman had done an amazing job protecting it for 50 years. The rotor blades were attached. They were new, but they were built to match the original design. When the wind blew, they turned slowly. It was beautiful to see. But there was one more problem, the biggest problem of all. The helicopter needed a pilot. Tom was too old. His hands shook too much. His eyes were not sharp enough. Flying a helicopter required fast reflexes and perfect coordination. Tom did not have these things anymore. I cannot fly her, Tom said one night. He was sitting alone by the fire. I rebuilt her, but I cannot fly her. Seven was listening from the shadows. He felt sad for Tom. The old man had worked so hard. He had sacrificed so much. And now he could not finish what he started. But then something happened that surprised everyone. The Vietnamese mechanic walked over to Tom. He sat down next to the old man. I can fly her, said. Tom looked up. What? I am a pilot, explained. I learned to fly helicopters in the Vietnamese military. I have thousands of hours of experience. I can fly your helicopter. Tom stared at for a long moment. You never told me you were a pilot, Tom said. Smiled, you never asked. Tom laughed. It was a good laugh, a happy laugh. For the first time in months, Tom looked truly happy. Why did you come here? Tom asked. I thought you came to help as a mechanic. Nodded. I did come to help as a mechanic, but I also came to make peace with the past. My grandfather fought in this war. He never talked about it. He carried pain in his heart until he died. I do not want to carry that pain. He looked at the helicopter. When I fly this machine, continued, I will not be flying a weapon of war. I will be flying a symbol of healing. Vietnamese pilot, American helicopter, flying together over the jungle where our grandfathers fought. That is how we heal old wounds. Tom put his hand on shoulder. Thank you, Tom said. Thank you for understanding. 7 recorded this conversation. He sent it directly to the High Council. Humans have the ability to forgive, he wrote. They have the ability to heal wounds that are generations old. They do not forget the past, but they do not let the past control them. They choose to move forward. They choose peace over anger. The High Council was impressed. They ordered 7 to stay on Earth. They wanted more information about humans. The helicopter was almost ready. The test flight was coming soon. The whole galaxy was watching. The day of the test flight arrived. Commander 7 had been on Earth for almost 1 full year. He had watched every step of the rebuild. He had seen every problem and every solution. He had recorded thousands of hours of human behavior. But nothing had prepared him for this day. The jungle clearing had been transformed. Where trees once stood, there was now a flat, open space. The helicopter sat in the middle, shining under the morning sun. It looked new and old at the same time. New paint covered old metal. New glass sat in old frames. It was a machine reborn. Hundreds of people had come to watch. They came from villages nearby. They came from cities far away. They came from different countries. News crews had set up cameras. Journalists were talking into microphones. The whole world was watching. Tom stood next to the helicopter. He was wearing his old military uniform. It still fit, but just barely. Medals hung on his chest. They were from the war, from a lifetime ago. Stood next to him. He was wearing a flight suit. He had checked the helicopter 3 times already. Everything was ready. Old woman was there too. She sat in a special chair at the front of the crowd. She was the guest of honor. Without her engine, none of this would be possible. How do you feel? Asked Tom. Tom took a deep breath. Scared, he admitted. Excited, proud, sad, everything at once. Nodded, me too. They shook hands, then climbed into the helicopter. The crowd grew silent. Everyone held their breath. Started the engine. The old machine coughed once, twice, 3 times. For a terrible moment, 7 thought it would not work. All this effort for nothing. Then the engine roared to life. The sound was loud and powerful. It echoed across the jungle. Birds flew away in surprise. The rotor blades began to spin, slowly at first, then faster and faster. Wind pushed against the crowd. Dust rose from the ground. The helicopter lifted off. It rose slowly into the air. 1 meter, 2 meters, 5 meters, 10 meters. It hovered above the clearing like a giant metal bird. The crowd erupted in cheers. People cried. People hugged each other. People jumped up and down. The noise was incredible. Tom watched with tears streaming down his face. He saluted the helicopter. He saluted everyone who had helped. 7 watched from his hiding place. He felt something strange happening inside his body. His eyes were producing liquid. He was crying. Aliens did not cry, but 7 was crying. Commander, Myra said through their communication device. Her voice was shaking. Are you seeing this? Yes, 7 said. I am seeing this. The helicopter flew in circles above the clearing. It dipped left and right. It rose higher and dropped lower, was testing everything. The controls were good. The engine was strong. The helicopter was alive. Then something unexpected happened. Flew the helicopter to where was sitting. He hovered directly above her, very low, very gentle. The old woman looked up with wide eyes. Opened the side door of the helicopter. He threw something out. It was a rope ladder. The crowd gasped. What was happening? His voice came through loudspeakers that the team had set up. He said, "You protected this engine for 50 years. You kept a promise that was not even yours to keep. You deserve to fly in this helicopter." The old woman shook her head. "I am too old," she said. "I cannot climb." Two young men from her village stepped forward. "We will carry you," they said. Very carefully, they helped onto the rope ladder. Very slowly, they climbed up with her. Other team members inside the helicopter reached down and pulled them in. The crowd cheered even louder than before. Sat in the helicopter. She looked out the window. She could see the jungle below. The same jungle where she had hidden the engine as a young girl. The same jungle where her grandfather had told her stories about the war. Tears fell from her old eyes, but she was smiling. The helicopter flew over the jungle. It flew over the village where grew up. It flew over the cave where the engine had been hidden. It flew over the hills and rivers and rice fields. For 15 minutes, the helicopter carried through the sky. 15 minutes to thank her for 50 years of waiting. Seven recorded everything, but he could not find words to describe what he was feeling. The Empire had advanced technology. They could travel between stars. They could communicate across galaxies. They had weapons that could destroy planets, but they could not do what these humans had done. They could not rebuild hope. They could not heal wounds that were 50 years old. They could not turn enemies into friends. They could not make an old woman fly for the first time in her life. The helicopter finally landed, helped climb out. The old woman was laughing and crying at the same time. She could not stop smiling. Tom walked over to them. He took hands in his. "Thank you," he said. "Thank you for everything." Shook her head. "No, thank you. You brought my engine home. You made it fly again. My father would be so proud." The three of them stood together. American soldier, Vietnamese mechanic, Vietnamese grandmother. Three people from different worlds, different times, different sides of a war, but standing together as friends. Seven made a decision. He stepped out of hiding. His invisibility shield dropped. He walked toward the humans. His crew was shocked. "Commander, what are you doing?" Myra asked. "Something I should have done long ago," Seven said. He walked into the clearing. The crowd noticed him. People screamed. People ran. People pointed cameras at him. But Tom and did not run. They stood their ground. They waited. Seven stopped in front of them. He looked at these strange, beautiful, impossible creatures. "My name is Seven," he said. "I am from another planet. I have been watching you for 1 year, and I have something to tell you." The whole world was listening. "In all the galaxies," Seven said, "in all the stars and all the planets we have visited, we have never found a species like humans. You are remarkable. You are inspiring. You are the hope of the universe." He looked at the helicopter. "And this machine," he said, "tells us everything we need to know about your species." The story was about to become much bigger. The world changed overnight. Commander Seven had revealed himself to humanity. The news spread across every country. Every television showed his face. Every website told his story. Aliens were real. They had been watching Earth for years. And they had chosen this moment, this place, this helicopter to make first contact. World leaders called emergency meetings. Scientists asked for interviews. Generals prepared their armies. Everyone was afraid. But Seven was not interested in governments or armies or scientists. He was interested in Tom, and he was interested in the helicopter. "I have a question," Seven said to Tom. They were sitting together in the jungle camp. The military had surrounded the area, but they kept their distance, for now. "Ask," Tom said. He was not afraid. After rebuilding a helicopter from rust and vines, talking to an alien did not seem so scary. "Why did you do this?" Seven asked. "You are old. You have little time left. You could have spent your remaining years in comfort. Instead, you came to a jungle on the other side of the world to rebuild a broken machine. Why?" Tom thought for a long moment. "Because I made a promise," he finally said. "A promise to who?" Seven asked. "To myself, to the helicopter, to the men who died in this jungle. Tom's voice became soft. I was 20 years old when I flew this helicopter. I was just a boy. I did not understand war. I did not understand death. But I understood loyalty. He pointed at the helicopter. That machine saved my life 12 times, 12 missions where I should have died. Bullets hit us. Rockets exploded near us. We crashed twice, but that helicopter kept flying. She refused to quit. She brought me home every time. His eyes became wet. When we crashed the last time, I was badly hurt. My legs were broken. My arm was torn. I could not walk. My rescue team had to carry me out. We had to leave the helicopter behind. He wiped his eyes. I told her I would come back. I promised her I would not leave her in this jungle forever. And for 52 years, that promise burned in my heart. Seven listened carefully. He was recording everything. But more importantly, he was feeling everything. He was beginning to understand. On my planet, Seven said, we do not make such promises. We believe that logic should guide all decisions. If a machine is broken, we replace it. We do not feel attachment to objects. Tom shook his head. That helicopter is not just an object. She is a piece of history. She carries the memories of everyone who flew in her. She carries the souls of men who died in this war. When we rebuild her, we honor them. Seven was silent for a long time. I think I understand now, he finally said. Humans do not see the world as it is. You see the world as it could be. You see meaning where others see emptiness. You see hope where others see despair. He stood up and walked to the helicopter. He touched its metal body. This machine was dead, he said. By all logical measures, it should have stayed dead. But you refused to accept that. You brought it back to life through nothing but will and determination. He turned to face Tom. That is why humans are special. That is why the galaxy is afraid of you. Because you do not accept limits. You do not accept the impossible. You just keep pushing until the impossible becomes possible. Tom smiled. Is that really why you came to Earth, to learn about us? Seven nodded. The Empire has watched many species rise and fall. Most species follow predictable patterns. They grow, they reach their limits, and they stop. But humans never stop. You keep surprising us. He looked up at the sky. In 500 years, your species went from horses to rockets. In 100 years, you went from simple computers to artificial intelligence. You adapt faster than any species we have ever seen. And you do it not because you are smart or strong, but because you refuse to give up. The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of more humans, government officials, military commanders, scientists. They all wanted to talk to Seven. They all wanted to know about alien technology and alien threats. But Seven held up his hand. I will speak with your leaders, he said, but first I want to do something. He walked to. Will you take me flying? Seven asked. I want to experience this helicopter. I want to understand what Tom feels. Looked surprised, but he nodded. Of course. They climbed into the helicopter. Tom and a crowd of humans watched as the old machine rose into the sky with an alien passenger. Seven looked out the window. He saw the jungle below. He saw the rivers and mountains. He saw the villages where people had suffered during the war. And he saw the people, tiny dots on the ground, watching with hope in their eyes. Now I truly understand, Seven said quietly. Understand what? Asked. Why humans will inherit the stars, Seven said. It is not because of your technology. It is not because of your weapons. It is because of this. He gestured at the helicopter around them. You take broken things and make them whole. You take old enemies and make them friends. You take impossible dreams and make them real. No other species can do that. The helicopter flew over the jungle one more time. Below, Tom watched with pride, watched with joy. The world watched with wonder. When they landed, Seven made an announcement. I will recommend to the Empire that we offer friendship to humanity, not because you are powerful, not because you are dangerous, but because you are inspiring. The galaxy needs your spirit. The galaxy needs your hope." The crowd cheered, people cried, history had been made. In the years that followed, the helicopter became famous across the galaxy. Other species came to see it. They wanted to understand the machine that had changed everything. Tom died peacefully 3 years later. He was buried with full military honors. His last words were, "I kept my promise." The helicopter was placed in a special museum. It stood between artifacts from human history and artifacts from alien civilizations, a bridge between worlds. And on the wall next to it, there was a simple message. This machine was abandoned in a jungle for 50 years. It was broken, rusted, and forgotten. But humans refused to let it die. They rebuilt it with their hands, their hearts, and their hope. They made it fly again. This is what humans do. They take the broken things and make them whole. They never give up. They never stop believing. This is why humanity will fly among the stars. Commander 7 visited the museum every year until his death. Each time he stood before the helicopter and remembered the day he first saw it in the jungle. He remembered Tom's determination. He remembered courage. He remembered patience. And he remembered the most important lesson he ever learned. Hope is the most powerful force in the universe, and humans have more hope than any other species in the galaxy. The helicopter from the jungle had become a symbol for all of humanity, a reminder of what they could achieve when they refused to give up. And somewhere in the stars, other civilizations looked at Earth with new respect. Because now they understood. Humans were not just survivors. They were dreamers, they were builders, they were healers. They were the hope of the universe. And it all started with one old soldier, one broken helicopter, and one impossible promise.